Holy cow, folks. We have been at this YouTube thing for a year already. So I wanted to take a step back, kind of look at where we started from, check out where we've improved, where we've grown and everything. It has been a wild year, so let's buckle up. Oh, let's do it. All right, YouTube, here we are in my garage. As you can see, the lighting in here sucks. It's dark outside. This is all I got. That light and that light. Oh my gosh, this lighting is terrible. At least this video, I'm adding lights. These lights end up getting taken down again to be replaced by about double that amount of light. And I actually, even today, I struggled to get enough light. So holy cow, back then, this is way back in the day when I was just trying to get on my feet, get the mini mill up and running. So first off was a belt drive conversion. It at least replaced all the cheapy little plastic gears and had me back with the turning spindle. So once the spindle was working, we could go ahead and get to work on making a CNC machine. So working on the Y-axis there. Sorry, I really went through a time-lapse phase here, so you're gonna have to put up with it. Lots of time lapses. I guess back then when I was recording, I thought you needed to see every detail, and time-lapsing was the best way to show the entire process within a few minutes. Time to do the X-axis here. Thinking back, this kit was actually pretty easy to install, especially the X and the Y. It went together all in one night. No real modifications or fitment issues that I can remember. Ta-da, here it is working. At least that's the X-axis going. But this is definitely the birth here. It was pretty cool to get this thing running. I thought at this point I was like king of the world. I've got a CNC machine. How awesome could that possibly be, you know? Conquering the Z-axis was a little bit more difficult. You had to drill a few holes, and I really fought with the alignment. After this video, I ended up going back and shooting a new video where I put some spacers in that Z-axis motor mount block so that the motor or the ball screw would be more in line with the axis. Never really played nice together that well, but it was enough to at least work. And we finally have a little bit of movement. I think I'm making that face because in real life it sounded terrible. That was still when the ball screw was out of alignment and everything, and it was making nasty popping, snapping noises. And we eventually figured everything out and ran this little bottle opener for a test piece. I've still got that bottle opener. It makes me feel good every time I get to use it. So I just carved my logo in there and was super proud of myself. That's a stainless steel bottle opener. One funny thing is that's not actually an engraving bit, that's a chamfer end mill. So I felt kind of dumb. I learned that when I went to one of the tool stores around here. I was complaining about getting engraving quality, and he goes, oh, well, you probably want to be using this different type of bit or type of end mill. So once I tried his engraving bit, it was much, much nicer on some pieces I did after that. Oh, the good old days. I tried to do some like cool eye candy MR2 action here because I was working on like a V6 emblem for it. Looking at that camera shake now just makes me kind of cringe, but I thought it looked good at the time. There we go, there's that little emblem. This was my first time really playing with plastic. This is making that emblem you just saw. It actually worked out pretty well. The biggest thing is I had to slow the spindle way down. I couldn't believe how slow it had to run, otherwise it would burn or melt the plastic. Oh yeah, I got tired of all those metal and plastic shavings being everywhere in my garage, so this was like a $30 little fix here to make an enclosure out of corrugated plastic. Actually worked pretty well. It was nice that it was so light that if I had anything major to do on the mill, I could just lift it right off the mill and then I'd have full access to everything. The only thing that was kind of a pain was doing like tool changes and stuff. Like it was easily doable, but every now and then the sides would get in the way and stuff, but I still use it today. I'm actually really excited. I got my first job. Probably shouldn't be saying this on YouTube in case he's watching, because I don't think he knows that he's my first job ever. But yeah, the little skateboard bracket, that was a fun one, but I was so stressed. I got that job and right away I was trying to run a 1/2-inch end mill in this machine and it did not like it. I managed to actually stall the motor at least once. The other thing was I was getting a hard hands-on lesson about end mills not liking to plunge and lead ins and lead outs. all the things in cam. Nevertheless, though, this job did get done. It took a couple extra tries to get some decent parts out of it, and I never at the time figured out how to easily flip that part. You know, at the time I just thought I was new and didn't know how, but even now, looking back with the part covering the table like that, it's hard to get any really good references. At one point I started making at least the CAD for a vacuum table for the mini mill, and I'm actually still planning on bringing that project back. It's on my to-do list, and it's actually making its way towards the top because I think it would be a really cool thing to have on that mini mill because of all the fixturing issues with it being such a small table. At least this can free up the space, and you can mill all sorts of flat components. All right, another real job that I actually got, a paying job I should say. Yeah, this was just a little ABS plastic component, and you can see the mess. I think the guy wanted 24 of these little pieces. So I figured out later on that it's not a good idea to let it get that messy because it covers up your ways and it gets in your ball screws, and yeah, it just gums the whole machine up. So not a good idea. I thought it would be cool just to see the piles of plastic, but it wasn't worth it in the end. Something crazy happened. A customer from a few months ago emailed me the other night, and he has a pretty sizable order for me. So I went ahead, got the job, so I'm super excited. It's the biggest order I've had yet for anything. So I got that. Problem is, my mill doesn't even work right now. Yeah, so it was time to really bust my butt and get that spindle turning again after I had blown up that first motor controller board. So yeah, went and found a treadmill for like 40 bucks on KSL, and time to get that thing running again. And going back to what I just said about all that plastic gumming everything up. So that order was off to a terrible start where I didn't even have a spindle that turned. I got all that stuff going, and then, I don't know, maybe a quarter of the way into the order, the ball screws started jamming up with plastic. A lot of plastic from the previous order, and it was causing the whole machine to miss steps, particularly in the up motion of the Z-axis, which meant when it went down, it plunged directly into material, so it was not fun. Yeah, that order was not a fun one with all the different mechanical issues we ran into. So once that order was done though, I really wanted to push to get spindle speed control working, and not with the CNC 4PC board that uses a different, or that you have to modify your HAL file and all that mess. So I started playing with this little board. I ended up getting it working, which was pretty cool, with some help from a friend. So this would allow you to plug in a number, a spindle speed number in your cam file, and then it would go ahead and just run it. So that was definitely a nice touch for this little machine. And stay tuned, I'm actually just about ready to, hopefully, as long as everything goes well, put out an actual custom board that'll do that, so you don't have the spaghetti bowl right here. It'll just be one little board. You just give it power and the signal and run it to your existing like motor controller. So it should be pretty cool when it's done. So we found some old paint in the basement, just some old white semi-gloss paint. We're gonna go ahead and throw this on here and probably look a little bit better than bare MDF. Try and brush it just one direction. There you go. Yeah, instead of going like this way and then this way, try and go just up, like forward and back. Like pick a direction you want to go and stick with it. Does that make sense? And after that order where the ball screws were getting all jammed up, I figured this isn't going to solve the root cause of the problem, which is gunk in the ball screw, but at least if it happens, these closed loop steppers from stepperonline.com will detect it, and it will send a fault code that you can route to Linux CNC and shut all the axes down, and with spindle control you can shut the spindle off. So that was a very high priority after that order. And almost immediately after I spent all that money on the stepper motors and drivers, Tormach put out an announcement saying that they were going to be raising their prices. They gave everyone fair warning to go ahead and get their orders in. So at that point I kind of bit the bullet. I decided that the mini mill was enough of a proof of concept that I wanted to go ahead and upgrade and start going a little bit faster. So got the big old Tormach and gave my daughter a knife to go ahead and hopefully not cut herself, but get her involved in the process and have some fun too. Holy cow, look at the size of this thing. It's insane. So I can't wait. This versus this. And we had to test that Tormach out at one point. So this is actually first order. You see a trend here. I already had the order before the machine was even running. But so this is the first order and the first chips coming off the machine. And there they are. Just little teeny tiny pieces. And that was just 2 pieces out of 4. So the main piece is right here. This was a fun one. It was definitely kind of nerve-wracking because I've never pushed end mills this hard because the little mini mill can't. So this is a 1/2-inch 3 flute and it's just going to town. It is 1 a.m. And that's how it turned out. That was a nice job. I enjoyed that job. It was fun. Flip it over, ta-da, and that's what it looks like. That was just after the first roughing pass, and we ended up cutting the contour around the outside of it. Wow, that was an entire year's worth of excitement out here in all of like 12 minutes. So I hope you enjoyed it. I want to say a huge thank you to all of you that have been with me this whole year. Just knowing that folks are interested in what I'm doing, the folks that have helped with different tips and tricks and everything, all that has definitely fed my drive to keep going, especially when stuff's not working quite right, because sometimes, I'm sure you all know, it can be super frustrating. So just want to say thank you, and in looking back at how much this garage and the equipment and everything has changed and how much I've learned, I can't wait to see what the next year and beyond really has in store. I've been trying to start a business. It's called Rival Machining. Got a website, rivalmachining.com. Go check it out.